Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It's a great pleasure to be here. Always great fun to be back in Brussels, where I spend so much time usefully doing what I'm not sure. For those of you who don't know, Ryanair next slide, is Europe's favourite airline. We've grown to become the largest airline in Europe by offering the lowest fare in every market in which we operate. This year we expect to grow from 120 million passengers to 130 million passengers. And those passengers are enjoying 13% lower airfares as we continue to use the benefits of our greater buying power, particularly with aircraft and non-ACI airports, to lower the cost of flying for consumers. Next slide. Our average fares this year were €41, and we do have a plan, unlike Willie's 6 airlines, to keep driving down the cost of air travel all the way across Europe so that we can keep Willie and all the other high-fare highwaymen honest over the next number of years. It is a cause much to be admired. There are, however, a number of very important issues that we need to deal with today. Next slide. It is not that's just where we fly everywhere in Europe. Next slide. That's where we're going to grow in the next 8 years from 130 million to 200 million passengers a year. And the great joy we have in Ryanair is we're an Irish airline, so even if Brexit happens, we're still free to fly happily around Europe. We may not be flying in the UK, and I wouldn't worry about the regional airports, because we'll be taking a lot of aircraft out of the UK in the April of 2019 and reallocating them to European regional airports, who will see more growth and they'll know what to handle, although Heathrow, thankfully, will be empty, probably for a period of months. There is a real prospect, next slide. There is a real prospect, and we need to deal with this, that there is going to be no flights between the UK and Europe for a period of weeks, months, beyond March 2019. There's a real prospect because if the UK government sticks to its present position, and that is setting a pretty low bar, but if the UK government sticks to its present position, which is ECJ jurisdiction is a red line issue, free movement of people, etc., they are going to leave the European Union and they're going to leave open skies. And as Willie rightly says, there is no replacement agreement. So the UK is going to have to find a way within the next 12 months to get back into open skies or to have it bilateral with the EU27. I think that's an impossibility. It's an impossibility because there's no goodwill in Europe towards Britain and allowing them back in on preferential terms to open skies or its equivalent. I don't in any way underestimate the extent to which Lufthansa and Air France see a competitive opportunity here to play ducks and drakes and screw over Ryanair or IAG or EasyJet. And as we know, the French and the Germans, whenever they can get an opportunity to stick one into the British, like nothing better. So we need to start dealing with the reality that there is going to be no flights between the UK and Europe. I've been to a number of meetings with the British government at which we put this proposition to them, and God help us, when we ask them what plan B is, there is no plan B. When you really push them on what happens if there's no plan B, is there a plan C? One of the senior Brexit ministers suggested that there would be a bilateral between the UK and Pakistan, and that may well bring forward replace the traffic that would be lost between the UK and Europe. And I think one of the issues, I should be arguing on behalf of the industry, please let's not have this outcome, because we must have a deal, and so the rich airports can continue to overcharge us, or in the case of Mr. Holland K, blow 18 billion building a runway that would only cost 200 million at any other sensible airport. It may not be the worst outcome in the world, because by September of 2018, when your average British voter is sitting down to work out where he's going on holidays in the summer of 2019, the two options he will have will be drive to Scotland or get a ferry to Ireland. And I love Ireland dearly. I just don't want to spend all my holidays there. And nor does much of the UK population either. So in reality, and you take it on a sectoral basis, when the reality of hard Brexit begins to dawn on some of these people, and I do need to counsel here in this chamber, it's going to dawn around September of 2018. Aviation will not wait until March 19. If we don't have a clear legal framework for continuing to operate flights to and from between the UK and Europe from about September 18 onwards, and in the absence of Britain blinking and deciding to stay in the European Union, there is not going to be an interim agreement, there is not going to be a legal basis. We will be cancelling flights. We will be cancelling people's holidays for the summer of 2019. The Germans and the French will love it because it's going to cause all sorts of disruption to airlines. IAG's structure is going to get broken up because it can't be a Spanish airline operated from Britain or a British airline operated from Madrid or whatever else it is that cross borders, even though it should be. There is going to be a real mess. You are going to be dealing with the outcome of that mess. Britain is going to suffer much more, but I wouldn't underestimate the extent to which there will be jobs lost at European airports. There will be jobs lost in the tourism sector, in Spain, in Portugal, in Italy, because yes, we'll replace a lot of the flights that we would normally operate to the UK, but the Germans and the Scandinavians and the Poles are not going to make up those numbers that Britain provides at the moment. There are some upsides. There may be some duty-free sales at UK airports. Sadly, there won't be any passengers travelling through those airports to get to Europe. And the French and the Germans will benefit hugely by all the transatlantic traffic that wants to connect across Europe will now have to fly to Paris, God help them, or to Frankfurt, God help them even more, or maybe a few of them will get into Schiphol. There will also be ownership restrictions that will have to be sorted out. IAG structure will not survive a hard Brexit. But maybe that may be one of the ways we persuade the UK government that the sensible outcome here is to ignore the plebiscite of 12 months ago, stay in Europe and continue to benefit from open skies. Should they do so, by the way, Europe does need to get up off its backside. We do need some reform that this august institution has failed to deliver for about 10 or 15 years. You can start by reforming a lot of the rich airports down there who have done nothing in the 30 years to lower the cost of travel. In fact, they put it up wherever they've had an opportunity, and you can continue to support the free movement of people across Europe, preferably on Ryanair, so that you're all saving a fortune of money while visiting your friends and relatives all over Europe. Thank you.
Merci, Monsieur O'Leary.